You ready? It's one. All right. That's why they did a promo about the Radio Tribune or Tribune newspaper. We can just start running that at the designated time, and then a person knows exactly when they're going to be on. I brought that up to yesterday. I think they're on. I don't know. I think they're on. Oh, hello. You think we're on? Yeah. Great. We're supposed to be on. This is Stephen, Captain Truth Dempsey from Las Vegas. This is your wake-up call, folks. Glad you're here. Or I hope you're here. Or you hear it on the archive version of it. That'd be okay in this situation. Today's been an interesting day, or it's going to get more interesting tonight, I'm sure, because we have been designated to talk about this debate. Wow. It's a good thing they know keep us busy and distracted. Why, heck, we might learn exactly who's behind these debates, who owns both horses in these horse races. And, you know, it's a little difficult. I've been on the planet quite a few years. It's a little difficult for the American people to elect somebody in a situation like this when they don't even have a horse running. It sounds like we're getting some static.
No, you're right.
Okay, it's back on, okay. Well, like I said, it's a little difficult for the American people to elect somebody that will solve some problems in their country, because the two horses that are always running are owned by the Bilderbergers. And you know one thing, that's for sure. When you make those millions of dollars like the Clintons did, and of course Barack Obama will as soon as he gets out of office, if he goes out of office, if we don't get a October surprise of some kind, he'll fatten up at the public trough. Well, not necessarily the public trough, at the money creators trough. That's where they go. That's where the real money is. Of course, they just print it up and they just give it to them. And Hillary, I heard on the talk show I was listening to this morning, how come nobody gets to ask Hillary any questions? Hillary's not debating anybody. You got to keep her under wraps. She's got to still think about that ambassador in Benghazi that died. Oh, but that's right. What difference does it make? He was killed trying to expose the corruption behind the pipeline. Oh, but that's okay. If we can just keep that quiet and keep the American people from knowing that, it won't be a problem. I don't know how many of you people know about Ron Brown. He was he looked like he was going to be the fall guy there for a while on some of the corruption that the Clinton machine ran when they were in the White House, and he let it be known that he wasn't going to take the fall for anybody. He was just doing what he'd been ordered to do and what he was told to do, and doggone it, his plane crashed, and he died of a bullet hole to the head. You know, you got to be careful if you're in those planes that are unstable. You know, if they crash, there's liable to be bullets flying everywhere. Who knows, you know, how that happened. I guess we'd have to have a time machine to go back and find out. But his plane crashed and he died of a bullet hole to the head. So he didn't get a chance. He didn't have to worry about taking the fall for anybody. But on the other hand, he couldn't testify either. He was probably going to be one of the people's whistleblowers. I know one of the things that was the first take on Alex Jones at Infowars.com/show, and they're doing a 27 or 28 hour money bomb now, so you'll be able to listen for quite a while in the hours ahead if you happen to be listening to this show live. You can go over there. show's over and probably listen to Clark, and then you can go over and see who's Alex has got on for the hours for the next 27 or 28. He talked that to Ron Paul. Ron Paul was having difficulties, and it looked like he might not be able to mount an effective campaign. And Alex designed a money bomb for him. And boy, I tell you, it worked better than anyone could have imagined. Ron Paul collected or generated more money in one day, 24-hour period, than any politician in the history of our country. And believe me, the patriotic Americans that listen to Alex Jones, we were not sending him millions apiece. That took a lot of $50 and $100 contributions, and that money meant something to the Americans who sent it in. I guarantee it. I knew several of them, and they saw it as a chance to change the status quo. They wanted change, just like Obama said he wanted change. Of course, the change was a little bit different in those two scenarios. And it's now 1:05, so I had tentatively set up a interview with Carl West from SpeedHealing.com. He was on one day last week. I actually forget all the days are running together. But if you go back and search the archives, you can find it. He was on the last half of the show. We had a little mix-up in when he was supposed to call due to the 1-hour time difference. He was on Mountain Time, where we're on Pacific Time. And I was confusing him when I was giving him a time to call rather than just as I did today. I said, if you want to be, it's 46 or 47 minutes till showtime. If you wanted to be on the show, call at 5 minutes after the top of the hour, and I never did say a time. So if you got the email, you may call. If you'd like to espouse your area of expertise and see if you can wake some people up to think some things that you thought weren't happening or something you didn't know. And as through the years you began to ask more and more questions, you discovered something. I'd certainly like to hear it. And the way you get on the Wake Up Call show is you call area 702-983-0711. That's area 702-983-0711. And we'll get you on. Well, right now, there's no waiting, so you got that going for you. I know so many people don't like to be first. Don't let that bother you. Somebody's got to go first. I know when I have an opportunity to listen to talk radio, I usually only call if I disagree with the host, which is fine with me if you disagree with me. Maybe that's why I'm not getting too many calls. Nobody's disagreeing with me. But I'm sure we can figure out something that you can disagree with me on. I know, like I started to say there before, when the people started calling in and asking for Alex Jones's take on Trump, he said, well, his first comment off the top of his head, because he hadn't really thought about it or thought, how to coherently respond to that. And his initial response was, well, I guess we can tell if he's really on our side, because he expressed reservations regarding trusting Trump. But Trump can't be any worse than the other psychos that we know we can't trust. But he said, I guess we'll really know if Trump is really on our side. We'll know when his helicopter blows up. And it looks like he's going to get elected. That was the first thought by Alex, that if his helicopter blows up because it's looking like he's getting too close to getting elected, then we'll know that he was on our side. Of course, it'll be a little late for him to take office at that point. And I hope that certainly doesn't happen, because I would hate to see that happen. Donald's an interesting character. Of course, I know somebody can disagree with that. There's somebody out there that says that Donald Trump is heck, he might be the Antichrist for somebody. I'm not sure how that would fit together, but I'd certainly listen if they called in and told me that. I know that I've heard in the last week or so that there's been several people, I guess, on the internet that are espousing the view that the Antichrist almost has to be the Pope now. And I don't know if you've been under a rock or not. You probably, if you've been under a rock for a while, you probably wouldn't know that the Pope is coming to your country. Probably coming to a locale close to you soon. I don't know what his actual itinerary is, but he's coming to the United States. No doubt he's bringing a lot of refugees or illegal immigrants with him, or at least going to come over and tell us how many more of them we should take in and house and feed and clothe and pay for their children. I don't know. I know I heard that one person's view was that Hillary and Bill generated, I think, $100 million in the first year with the Clinton Foundation when they got out of. I'm not sure when they first Bill got out of the White House, or when Hillary got appointed after Barack took over the White House. After Hillary got appointed Secretary of State, and Bill, of course, was out on the speaking tour. It's probably pretty nice to collect $300,000-$400,000 for an hour speech, and just yucking it up and laughing with the people. And Bill does a real good job of that. I would give him full credit on that. He's quite a jokester. Of course, except for the women that I don't know how many of them there were that said that they were brutally raped by Bill. But I'm sure they just misinterpreted the mode of affection that he expressed with them. And like Bill says, it all depends on what is means. If you aren't sure what is means, then you can't come to any conclusions. And I'm not sure that I know what Bill thinks it means, but I'd rather not talk about Bill at this point. One thing I would like to talk about is what I did this weekend. This past weekend, I finally got to it on Wednesday. I've expressed repeatedly that the best shows on Alex Jones are Friday afternoon and Sunday afternoon. Well, I guess Friday starts in the morning. It quits in the afternoon, our time, or his time. It's from 9 to 1 p.m. live, our time, which is 11 to 3 in the Midwest, in Austin, Texas, where he's from. And you can listen, but I know even when I could listen live, I still didn't, almost every time. It's just, of course, I've listened now for 13 or 14 years, and I know those commercials pretty well. Every now and then I'll watch on the video. That's www.infowars.com/show. Alex has put his television network incorporated into the radio show, and then with the use of cameras and Skype, he can show you the picture of the person that he's interviewing, or you can see him sitting behind one of the news desks, I think it is, as he does the show, and then his support staff puts up any documents, does the research. When he says, well, that's already been announced, when a caller calls in and asks a question, he says, what about the government's involvement in 9/11? He would make a comment about something related to the falsity involved in the original government story, or an article that was written by Popular Mechanics, I don't know what Popular Mechanics knows about structural steel buildings, but they found somebody who would say that the government position was absolutely correct. That's right. No problem there. 2 planes hit 3 buildings or caused 3 buildings to come down. Of course, now, folks, it is true that a structural steel girdered building has never been brought down in the history of mankind except for that day. And, it was an unlucky day for the United States of America because we had 3 buildings go down. The architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth, and of course that website is ae911truth.org. I believe one of their videos on their website shows you, I think it was either China or the Soviet Union had an intensely hot fire on a multi-story steel girdered building, and it burned up everything except for the steel girders. There was just the shell of the steel sitting there. That was the only thing that was left. Of course, in this country, the steel melted. Well, that was the trigger point for me. As far as I was concerned, that was the smoking gun. If you have a different take on what the smoking gun is, I'd like for you to call and explain to me why you think it's more important. That number is 702-983-0711. And we'll get you on the air and you can explain it to me. But for me, the fact that I wouldn't know what steel melted at, structural steel that's made in the girders. Good thing we have architects and engineers because they know what temperature that stuff will burn. They know how to figure load stresses, how much weight you can put on the building, where you need trusses to support the ceiling so that the building won't collapse on its own. I studied civil engineering the first time when I went to school, and I worked for an engineering firm in Kansas City, and what employees they were. They were absolutely fabulous. I wish I wish I could have had the interest in it that those people that worked there did, because they taught right at the University of Missouri, Kansas City, right across the street, 4 or 5 blocks across the street. And they were willing to pay for your time, pay for your books, pay for your tuition if you take some classes. And I think that's really what got me the job. I didn't have the experience that they were asking for, but I knew if I could get the interview that I could get the job. And I went back to the people that were the searchers for interviewees. I went back there a different day the second time, and I finally talked a different person into allowing me to at least have her, or talk her into at least contacting them and seeing if they'd set up an appointment that I could meet with them. They did, and I got the interview and I got the job. And since I had this civil engineering background, I'm sure that that weighed in their decision-making process, and they figured, well, if we can get him over here and we can get him in some of our classes or some of the classes at the college in close proximity, he may take a real liking to it and continue on and become an engineer rather than just a draftsman. Actually, I was really interested in drafting and draftsmen. Unfortunately, the machines have replaced a lot of those. Last time I went back to Missouri, I went and visited some of my friends, and they were at that former employer of mine, and a lot of the people weren't there anymore. There were some exchange students that were working there, and in the drafting office we probably had maybe at least 8 or 10 draftsmen did the same thing I was expected to do. And a couple of them were for Iran at that time. And of course we were having all kinds of political problems with Iran. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I'd never met anybody from Iran. And actually, these guys were not from Iran. They were from Persia, because Iran was in all the newspapers, and there was all these arguments and insults being hurled back and forth between the government and the government of Iran. And so these gentlemen made it clear that they were from Persia. And you got me what the difference is. Might not be a difference, but at least nobody could get too upset about Persia, because we didn't really know too much about that. I thought that was pretty interesting. But like I said, I got the job, but I couldn't be as interested in it. I had lived out in Las Vegas, and the only reason I was sticking around and working there was the fact that I'd been in an automobile accident, and I had to recover from the surgery. And my girl, we decided to, when her youngest daughter got married, which I introduced her to her husband, and they've been together a lot of years. In fact, one of their oldest boy just got married and had he and his wife had a baby. So, and they're still together and still happy, I guess. They must, if they're staying together. And so I think I did a good job there. When she got married, then we decided to leave the Missouri area. And since I was going to be in the West Coast for sure, since I'd lived in Las Vegas, I liked the desert and I liked California. And we talked about going on to Seattle. Anybody knows anything about Seattle, I'd like to hear about it, because I didn't go there, never been there. How do you share your experiences with Seattle? Well, you call 702-983-0711, and you can wake me up regarding Seattle, because I've never been there. But that was our original plan. That when we came to Vegas, if for some reason she didn't like it here in Vegas, it was too hot for her, or any other reason, then we were going to go to Seattle. So that would have changed things, I imagine. I know it rains a lot in Seattle, kind of like it rained a lot here this summer. But we got out here, and it was the winter time after the first of the year, and she wound up, her boss was high in I don't know. I guess it had to be the Republican Party, because he was more economics oriented. It was Kingsford Charcoal was one of his family's companies, and she was his secretary, his only secretary, and he kept a lot of things straightened out for her. And I'm sure he was unhappy to see her go, because she did an awful good job on all things related to secretarial skills. She went to work for the county. She scored the highest proficiency score in the history of the county, and in 13 months she was head of the secretarial pool. She put in charge of a lady that had been there 13 years. They had to give the lady that had been there 13 years a raise, otherwise Gene was going to pass her in 13 months. But then they made a fatal mistake, the county. They decided that she had to learn all this computer stuff and go to these computer classes and learn how to do all this, and she just wasn't ready for that. She didn't plan on working that. By then I was in law school, and she didn't plan on working that much longer anyway. And it didn't seem to her like the computers were that important to her in her life at that time. Now I'm happy to report that she does email, so but she never got much past that. I don't know that she can. I'll have to get in touch with her daughter and tell her about Radio Tribune. Maybe she could be one of my consistent callers, calling all consistent callers out there. you know, if she, I don't know. We probably need to set up an 800 number. We'll have to do that in the days ahead too. So, well, that was my experience in getting back to Las Vegas. Then I went to law school after graduating from UNLV in San Diego. And San Diego, if you know anything about San Diego, I know a little bit about Old Town in the airport area and downtown. I know a little bit about the San Diego Padres and the San Diego Chargers. I think I went to one football game. No, it wasn't the Chargers. It was UNLV and San Diego State, now that I think about it. And it was really, really super. It turned out San Diego State had a graduate that had, I guess, got a job as a major distributor for a fireworks company. And at the halftime of the football game, it was either halftime or afterwards, they put on a fireworks display. And it was amazing. It was more impressive than any July 4th celebration fireworks display I've ever seen. And it was a good time. And went to the baseball games on numerous occasions. With 81 home games, people that have season tickets, depending on how the team's doing. Didn't get too many tickets when San Diego was in the heat of a pennant race, when Steve Garvey was there, or when they went. Of course, I never got any tickets to the playoff games. I'm not sure that I enjoyed them going to something like that, though. You can actually see better on TV, and it's always on TV. And so I went to numerous San Diego Padre games. Made an offer to buy the Padres. I think that would have changed my life. I'm pretty sure. John Kroc? No, that's Kroc. The McDonald's guy, Ray Kroc, passed away. And I heard it on a weekend. I listened to the Padre station almost on a regular basis, especially when the games were on. But it was an interesting station, and sports related. I don't think it was call-in. I don't think I'd gotten bit by the talk radio bug yet. And be careful. You're going to learn a lot of stuff if you get bit by the talk radio bug. And hopefully, the more you learn, the more you'll share with others. But I had heard that Ray Kroc had died, and one of the individuals that I went to baseball games with pretty regularly was one of my professors. I'd had him for one class, I think, and you could choose your advisor. One of the law school, one of the professors would agree to be your advisor, and to make sure that you took all the classes in some logical order, and that when you got closer to graduation, that you had all the required courses in order to graduate. Jim Wade was his name. And, I just thought that Ray Kroc's wife might not sell the San Diego Padres. I think they were worth like 65 maybe to 75 million at that time. I got a feeling that she wouldn't sell the San Diego Padres to Stephen Dempsey, a first-year law student at Western State Law School in San Diego. $75 million line of credit I didn't have. I don't know, too many people have that. But I actually thought that she might sell the San Diego Padres to Jim Wade, who just happened to be a close personal friend of mine, former dean of Western State Law School, and other investors us to the first meeting. So, but unfortunately, the gentleman that owned the Seattle Pilots, I think it was at that time, I'm not exactly sure whether it was the Mariners yet or not. Or how, I don't remember how that came down. But he showed up. He was big in real estate and creative financing. And don't you know it, his deal was almost exactly similar to mine. And unfortunately, Mrs. Kroc got tired of paying attorneys to talk over the potential deal. And she kind of was I probably did a poor job of helping her to understand that I had a lady that I was trying to buy a house from a few years ago, and I think I was really, really close till another buyer came and had to buy the thing at full price cash, and she took that, and I certainly wouldn't blame her. But she told me because she knew I wanted the house, and she really felt that I was telling her the truth about all this stuff. But she said, you know, if you're unsure or unclear about something, the mind won't allow you to say okay to something that you don't understand. You know, you'd say it's an automatic no if you don't understand what's going on. And she extended to me an offer to go up to Mount Charleston with her for a weekend and go through it all, and it sounded like a pretty attractive offer to me, and I was willing to do that. And then, of course, fate struck again. Somebody showed up and offered full price cash, and she didn't have a house to sell anymore. But that's the way your life changes. And just like Mrs. Kroc wasn't willing to sell the Padres at that time for the way that two buyers wanted to buy them, I don't know whatever happened to the Seattle owner. I guess he probably got out of Seattle, and maybe that's when they changed to the Mariners. I don't know. I'd have to do a Google or a start page search to figure out what happened there. But that changed my life there. And then of course, that was after the automobile accident. I haven't told that story on how much, you know, I'm sure you've all have heard it. Be careful what you wish for, because you might get it. I remember when the megabucks first started in this town. One of the first winners was two sisters. I don't remember, to tell you the truth, whether they were partners on the deal or one of them won it, and they won so much that, you know, it changed both of their lives or not, or what the exact, you know, monetary facts were behind it. But anyway, they hit the megabucks, or one of them hit the megabucks at least, and I'm sure that influenced the economic well-being of the other one also. They were sitting in a stoplight, and somebody came along and crashed into them from behind, and I think it may have killed one of them and turned the other one into quadriplegic. So their life went way, way up and way, way down in a short period of time. So I guess that's what the person who made up that saying. Be careful what you wish for, because you might get it. And I'm sure you all heard jokes about the marriage situation. I know there were a lot of people that were commenting about the civil unions. If people are that's for people that can't call it marriage, because it's a same-sex individual, and they claim that that doesn't